By now, you must already know about pickleball. If you play tennis, you probably had someone try to convince you to play pickleball. Or maybe you've heard the annoying pings of a pickleball paddle in the distance. But what are the main differences between tennis and pickleball? Well, let's discuss in today's video. Hello and welcome to Pro Pickleball Media, your number one spot for all pickleball content. Today's video, we're going to delve into the much heated discussion about pickleball versus tennis and the key differences between the two. Now let's get right into the video. Pickleball or tennis is definitely a rhetorical question. Of course, mainly people will still pick tennis, but pickleball is the most quickly growing sport in the US. Should tennis players get worried? Maybe. We've heard and seen evidence that pickleball courts are taking the place of tennis courts in the US. The sport is growing faster than any other sport ever has. But what exactly is pickleball, and why is it popular? Pickleball is a racket sport that combines parts of badminton, table tennis, and tennis. The racket is called a paddle. Like tennis, you can play singles or doubles, but the court is a lot smaller, like a badminton court. The paddles are made of wood or a combination of wood and other materials, and the ball is made of polymer, which is a type of plastic. But how did this unique sport originate? About 50 years ago, on Bainbridge Island, a few dads, Joel Pritchard, Barney McCallum, and Bill Bell, and their kids took advantage of an empty badminton court. They didn't have the right rackets, so they used ping pong paddles and a wiffle ball to make do. Within 2 weekends, these two dads came up with the rules of pickleball. Some people think the name pickleball came from putting the name of their dog Pickles and the word ball together, but this has not been proven. Even though pickleball isn't as old as tennis, it's becoming more and more popular. How do you know which sport is right for you? Well, check out our comparison of the two sports, which are a lot alike but also very different. Tennis versus pickleball. The main differences. Racket versus paddle. The striking of a tennis racket or a pickleball paddle produces music to the ears of those who enjoy these sports. But tennis rackets and pickleball paddles are very different. For pickleball, you need a paddle that is half the length of a racket and has a shorter square handle. Most people think that a pickleball paddle is just a bigger ping pong paddle. That's about right, but it's not quite that easy. These two sports equipment choices should be made based on more than just how big and round they are. You can't compare how well pickleball and tennis are played because they are so different. When you hit a tennis racket with a tennis ball, it collapses into a ball. The strings bend a little to make room for the ball. This doesn't happen in pickleball. The pickleball paddle doesn't have any strings, and the balls don't get smaller when they're hit. When you hit a pickleball, the paddle will pop off as soon as you hit it. When you hit a pickleball, it will deflect, not compress. The core of a pickleball paddle is different from the core of a tennis racket, which is the other differences between the two. Composites are used to make most pickleball paddles today. Composites are things that are made up of more than one part. Composite paddle has 3 main parts: the core, the face, and the edge guard. Cores are not just solid materials, so the cores of paddles are made in the shape of a honeycomb to make them lighter, between 7 and 8 ounces. On the inside, they look like honeycombs and are hollow. The result is a solid, strong, but not too heavy material. This has a smooth surface to hit and guard against the edge. The type of ball. Pickleball is lighter than a tennis ball and bounces less high. The first time a tennis player sees a pickleball bounce is always funny. They look confused and dazed. They aren't used to how low the ball bounces in pickleball. Tennis balls are big, round, and they bounce. The rubber core inside the ball gets smaller when it is hit or dropped. Because of this, the ball bounces. In tennis, you should expect this. On the other hand, pickleballs don't bounce very high because they don't have a core. Pickleballs are made of hard, sometimes fragile plastic. They're not made of rubber and don't stretch or bounce back very high. In general, there are 2 different kinds of pickleballs. The Jugs ball is used inside, while the Dura 40 is used outside. Pickleballs are basically just wiffle balls, so the wind has a lot of power over them. So outdoor balls need holes that are much smaller to keep working. This makes it less likely that the wind will make the balls move. But before we talk about more differences, please take a second to like the video and subscribe to our channel so that we can keep bringing more informative pickleball content to you. Your little contribution means a lot to us. Kitchen or non-volley zone. In other words, the no volley zone is called the kitchen. You can't volley the ball while you're in this area. This means that you can't hit the ball out of the air before it bounces. You can't stand at the net and hit the ball over the pickleball. This is because the court is so small. Back in the 1960s, when the sport was first made, its creators knew right away that this was a big problem. The non-volley zone goes from the net backwards. Both sides have a 7-foot deep area where you can hit the ball. Even though it's called the non-volleyball zone, by the book, everyone calls it the kitchen. It's easy to understand. A player can't hit a volley from non-volley area. Shots like these often determine whether a player wins or loses. This means that the non-volley or kitchen rule can be used to play the game. The kitchen is what makes pickleball stand out from other racket sports. Without the kitchen, there would be no pickleball. Court size differs greatly. Pickleball courts are smaller than tennis courts. People often say that the courts for pickleball are too small or look too small. If you play tennis, you know that's true. The only measurements are 20 by 44 inches, which you might recognize from badminton. In fact, pickleball was made for the first time on a badminton court. Pickleball is a much smaller game than tennis. Think about the fact that most pickleball games were played by 2 people. 4 people can't play on a court this size. There's also a big decrease to the net. When I look at a tennis net, they always blow my mind because they seem so big to me. Even though pickleball nets look small, don't be fooled by how they look. Just like in tennis, it's hard to get the ball over the net because the court and net are small. It can be very frustrating when you can't move the ball. The double bounce rule. Double bounce rule is the last one, which does not exist in tennis. The name of this rule could be confusing. In fact, it has a completely different meaning. Don't forget that the game is over if the ball bounces twice. This is an important rule to follow. The game is mostly about the first shots of the game. The double bounce rule says that a ball must bounce once after the serve and then again after the return. Now, let's take a look at some of the key reasons why pickleball is so popular. Pickleball is popular among people due to these few reasons. 1, it's a great way to work out. Pickleball is a great way to get some exercise without feeling like you're working out. This game can help you burn up to 350 calories per hour. 2, it's fun to play with other people. Pickleball is a very social game that people of all ages and skills levels can enjoy. It's a great way to have fun and meet new people. 3, it's easy to learn. If you know how to play tennis or ping pong, you already know how to play pickleball. The rules are easy to understand and it only takes a few minutes to figure out how to play a game right. 4, you don't need a lot of gear. All you really need to play pickleball is a paddle and a ball, sometimes referred to as a wiffle ball. You can find everything you need at a sports store near you or on the internet. 5, it's better for your body than tennis. Pickleball is a lot easier on the body than tennis. You don't have to be in good shape to play because it's easy to learn and the ball doesn't bounce high. 6, it's easy on the knees. If you have a knee injury or just don't want to play a sport that's hard on the knees, pickleball is the perfect game for you. 7, the gear is cheap. Don't worry if you don't have all the pickleball gear yet. You can get everything you need at prices that aren't too high. Number 8, pickleball has grown by leaps and bounds in the last few years. The USAPA says that about 6 million people play pickleball every year. With the way the sport is growing, it's clear that one day it will be an Olympic sport. Number 9, pickleball games move quickly. Because there's only 21 points in a game, or you don't have to wait long to play a point. That means that the games move quickly, so you won't get bored. 10, it can be played indoors or outdoors. Pickleball can be played on courts made just for it, or on badminton, tennis, or basketball courts that are not being used for those sports. So, what are your thoughts on pickleball versus tennis? Which among the two is your favorite sport and why? Tell us in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow picklers. Also, if you love pickleball, then make sure to watch this next video on our channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.